season 2 is an expansion from season 1. Season 1, we built this world and we sort of showed you a little bit of what this school looks like, and it's following Brian, sort of fish out of water, and as he sort of acclimates to this crazy new environment. And now we get to show other schools and inter-school competition, and what does the dorm life look like, and what does being a professional, quote-unquote professional gamer in a school setting, and how does he balance these two things. And also we're going to change the length of the episodes. So instead of doing web series length like 6 to 10 minute episodes, we found that everybody loved the 22-minute long last episode of season 1. So now we're going to do 6 TV length 22, 25-minute episodes.
Yeah, because the first one was essentially almost like a big pilot. It was like a big movie, and it was a classic movie structure. It was very 80s sports movie. You follow this one kid, and Brian was the main character of the movie because it's a movie structure.
Right. So you don't really see much. You count on one hand a number of non-Brian scenes.
Yeah, it's not very many. And for this one, it's we know we wanted to do a sequel, but we didn't want to just do a movie sequel. What was it going to be? Brian fights another bully? It's not going to happen. And everybody loves the side characters, and we love Key, and we love Ted, and we love Jenny. So it's we want to give these people all these new stories. So we went to TV structure. Yep. And now we've introduced this world, and now we can have fun in it. So we can do 6 completely separate stories that still have an arc in them. Law has a big arc throughout this season, and the biggest arc is honestly Jenny and her mom is this big mother-daughter story, and then Brian's in there, and then we have Ted has a story, and everybody has their own stories, but all the episodes have their own stories. So again, it's going to feel like 6 big episodes of TV.
Harley, Epic Mealtime, is back again as headmaster, and he chewed up the scenery so well first season that he has a whole bunch more to work with this time around. Jenny's mom is played by Cynthia Watros, who is from TV actually. She was on Lost.
John Ennis is Key's dad. You might know him from Zodiac, but he was comedy fan, should know him from Mr. Show, and big improv guy, been around forever. He's been in a million. If you look at his IMDb, he's doing everything.
We do have a couple cameos that we're not going to say anything about yet, but we're very excited about it.
I have a huge ego, so I have to try to step away from who I am and head towards the character who's not as powerful or brilliant.
Rolling!
And then I can try to seep into it just a little bit. It's not hot.
What was that? We were 2009. We were kicking around ideas. I was working on a direct-to-DVD feature film at that time, and one of our friends, a guy named Chris Papavasily, who was actually a producer this season, was just kicking around that idea. He threw out Video Game High School, and that was it. And then we went with it, and Matt and I were kicking ideas around, and we've been working on this as a concept for a while. Since that time, just always kind of kept coming up, and it was we should come back and revisit that.
We had a different show idea too, kind of an office style show.
That's
and then
right.
We had that one, and we were trying to figure out then for the first one, kind of had a deal with the company, so we were we should do a more action oriented one. So then we just started talking about Video Game High School, and we came up with stuff, and then we brought in the other writers to kind of develop it a bit.
That's right. And then so that was basically it. It's been an idea that's been kicking around since even before the YouTube channel has been around. We split it. So this season, we are going to do some in-house, and we're going to be working with the YouTube creators to essentially it's like a crash course on visual effects, because we have a lot of effects that can be done just in After Effects, and you can teach people how to do it. So that's something that we're working with the creators that are in that first class here at the YouTube space on. And then the more complex stuff, we're working with the same company that we did in season 1, a company called Play Fight, which is based out in Canada, who we met about a year and a half ago at one of the Call of Duty events in LA, and we had been fans of their work because they had done a couple of Call of Duty shorts, the Find Makarov and the Operation Swordfish shorts, and they were familiar with us, and we kept in touch, and now they're the VFX company that does the hard VFX for Game Highschool season 2 and more. I mean, with every method of funding, there's upsides and downsides, right? So if you go the traditional method and you're getting an investor to come in, the downside is now you have to pay that investor back, and oftentimes, in general, industry standard 10 to 20% return on that. That's how direct-to-DVD feature films work. That's where we were previously. With this, the downside is you have to deliver because you've built up all this hype to it, and you also need to deliver actionable items. That means you need to be doing DVDs, you need to be doing the posters, you need to be doing all the stuff that you promised in the Kickstarter reward thing.
You have to deal with a whole level of business that you don't normally. We had to deal with manufacturing, we had to deal with shipping and all this other stuff.
Not filmmaking. We're filmmakers, but now we're sitting there being we need to find a t-shirt manufacturer. Who can we get to do this? Who can get
do your own PR?
How do we ship it? So it's a give and take. Why we really like crowdsourced funding is, for us, that sort of side of it, delivering DVDs and digital downloads and all those sort of rewards, is a lot of fun. And it's actually not really, for us, it's just being able to interact with our fans, and we have no problem doing it, and it gives us a lot of freedom in what we're doing, because a lot of times, again, once you're taking money from outside sources, they have a lot of say in what you're doing. But what's nice about the Kickstarter and the crowdsource model is we got the cash to make the project the way we want to make it, and we don't have someone, some producer as an overseer being like trying to dictate the creative decision. So we have that creative freedom.
It's not really a downside, but I feel like there's some similarities to like when you deal with like if you're like doing a Marvel movie or something, you have to deal with the fans, and it's instead of being beholden to a producer, you now kind of have people that have already given you money, and while there's not like a quote unquote investment stake in it, there is like a sense of like I know people have already paid for this project, and it's not even a pressure, but it just definitely puts it's a different relationship, I think, with your audience. It's not a downside, but it's definitely different.
You feel a bigger obligation.
Yeah, rather than just like I'll do this and then throw it out, maybe people will like it. You're like, people have already said they like it. I better deliver on them liking.
It's better to live up to their expectations. To be fully transparent, we're not like completely profitable on the whole.
Yeah, not yet for season 1.
But here's the thing, though, because we're not looking at this as a single season situation. We've always looked at VHS as a 3-season arc, and what we're doing here is something that is difficult and something that I don't think has quite been done in this way in the web video space. So the first step was, all right, let's put it out there, let's get the name out there, let's build it up, right? And so we expect to take a bit of a loss on that. And then season 2, season 3 is what the follow-up is after it's been built up. So we'll see how this experiment works out, but we'll talk about that after we hit season 3, because we still have merchandise and we still have DVDs and stuff coming for season 1. Season 2 has a whole slew of stuff that we want to do for it, and season 3 as well. So in that thing, it's like as of this moment, what we want to do is we want to look at the whole project as a 3-season arc and see where that goes and see how the sort of the financial model can work for that.
Because we're not starting with Halo or Mortal Kombat. We had to essentially create. The first season was essentially create our own IP first.
Right, exactly.
And that cost money and that took time, and it's a certain thing. And now we've essentially developed this IP, and just like studios do, it's not that uncommon. And now hopefully with seasons 2 and 3, we'll see how the model works. And if not, then
we figure out something else.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think it could exist in sort of like that short form, but we're actually more excited about all the other weird ways it can exist. Like, so we did like a comic book for the first season as a joke, almost a last minute thing. You guys were sitting around being like, we have this crazy idea for a comic book, and we threw it in as a freebie for all the Kickstarter DVDs, and it was a lot of fun. And then we're like, and we've always been talking like, man, this is like an anime. It's like an animated show just to begin with. So there's all these other mediums that we think it could also exist on that are very interesting. And for us, it's always about exploring what that long form narrative is, be it in the web series format, or in this season sort of a more TV show length format, or in terms of like animation or comic books or any of the other sort of mediums.
Yeah, we're not against anything. I think for this 3-season arc, like the actors, they're growing up and they're gonna be doing other stuff. So I think this is a very like closed thing, but the world and the IP is rich, and we can do other stuff with it. So we're not against. We never know. We might do small spin-offs. We might somebody else may work on it. We may do comics. It's something that we can feel free to play with anytime.
We do like Degrassi.
New class. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll enjoy this 3-season arc, and then we probably won't do a whole another one like this the same way. We'll see where it goes after that.
Yeah, exactly. And for us too, we don't want to be stuck doing just one web series over and over again, and that's like the only thing. We have, even this year, we have a slate of 3 or 4 other web series ideas that we want to be pursuing, because we don't want to be like, okay, these are the guys that make this web series. These are the guys. We want to be these guys who make a whole bunch of web series.
It was difficult.
How do you compare the writing of season 2 to season 1?
We thought it was going to be easier because we knew the characters, but we had to essentially learn how to write a movie format into 9 parts, which actually just made us write, in my opinion, it made you write a good structured movie, because instead of doing 3 acts, it's like we have to make sure there's something interesting happening every 10 minutes.
You have the 10 to 15
This is what old movies should actually be. And we had to essentially go into TV format, which was different, especially with the characters we had. We had to get used to writing 3 stories per episode. Brian and Ted, now there's A plots, B plots, C plots in every single episode. So just like, it was writing a whole season of TV, and it's kind of tough to keep track of the stories.
There's some TV writer somewhere who's like, has a snifter of brandy laughing at
exactly. It's like, even though this is only 45 minutes longer, it feels like we were doing 6 VHSs, because they're each contained, like all the stories, there's 6 whole episodes, essentially, that feel like entire movies. But it's a lot more fun. Like, we get to write DKs anymore, and we have all these new characters, and it's just we get to go a little crazier this season, which I'm happy with. Yeah.
The recognition that we get is really what we get from our fans. We had 10,000 people support the Kickstarter in very significant ways, and it's like for us as a creator, we're vouched for by that audience, and they're letting us sort of play and make this world and do what we want to, and we have full creative freedom from that. Like that's as far as I need. You don't really need anything more than that, especially as someone who it's like, we wake up, we get to make whatever we want, and it's something that we made up, and we have a lot of fun doing it. It's like, you shouldn't be asking for anything more than that, and we're very happy.
And I think the internet's so young, and the streamers are so young, and the amount of content out there is so diverse and difficult to find, that it's hard to be considered snubbed, because there's so much content that anybody can recognize on the internet is
I will say who
nice.
was snubbed was the Onion Digital Studio.
Oh, those guys.
If the fact that Sex
Sex
House
House
was not nominated for anything means that the people who are running these award shows are not watching anything, because Sex House was far and away the greatest thing that was created on the internet last year.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that gets recognized is just great, because it's so difficult to find good content online. It's just nice that there's a award show at this point.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to, because there's so much content out there now, so it's nice to be able to find stuff. But seriously, Sex House. Have you guys seen that?